Hello and welcome to After School Special, the Miss Marvel podcast from the Comic Crush. I'm your host, Paul. I am joined, as always, by our very own Miss Marvel, Liz Jordan. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back. We've just recorded our Thor podcast, by the way, although it will come out after this chronologically. So tonight you'll get Miss Marvel. Tomorrow, Saturday, you'll get the Thor podcast. Which is a bit of a chaotic mess, really, I think, Liz.
I think we can agree with that.
Yeah, sorry, it's all my fault. As always, I kind of go off in different tangents and can't really control myself. But yeah, and Liz is the picture of serenity and quality film criticism.
Of course. It's a good thing I'm here.
Well, yeah, I mean... Good thing you're there. I think it's what is how I would put it. Really, it's a good thing you're there. We are here to talk about the latest episode 5 of Miss Marvel: Time and Again. This week's episode was directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. I hope I pronounced that right, and written by Fatima Ashgar. So episode 5, Time and Again, we're now rolling towards the end of the show, Liz. I'm very kind of excited about where it's going. How did you feel about this week's episode? I mean, so
we were very different episode. Yeah,
very totally. Different episode. Like, I mean, this is a bold choice 5 episodes in to suddenly go, right, we'll get rid of the main character for
90% of the episode. Yeah,
20 minutes. Like about 20 minutes she's gone for. And we'll drop us back into, and in fact we stay nearly in that place for the whole time, back into 1942 India, Partition, Last Train Out. But actually where we pick the episode up is the end of the scene from like episode 2 or 3 in the cave, right? I mean, in the underground. So what we actually have is Aisha on the run from the British with the bangle, the bangle, which was, I assume, was picking up from that episode. That flashback we saw way back when. Right. Did you get that sense, or was that?
Yeah, I got the sense that she's probably been on the run, possibly not just from the British, but possibly from her own people at this point. Like, that's not super clear at first. I mean, it certainly does become that, for reasons we'll get into. But when we first see her, she's clearly, kind of probably gone pretty far. She's tired. She's basically face down in a bed of roses.
Which is, I thought was a very nice callback to episode. What was the episode with the wedding? 3 or 4?
3 or 4. I don't know.
Yeah, because of course the song they play for the wedding dance was Bon Jovi's "Bed of Roses," right. Which I thought was a really sweet little callback.
Of course.
As you say, face down in a bed of roses, and she meets her future husband,
Hassan,
who is sort of partially disabled. He has to walk with a stick, and they kind of have their sort of in the fine tradition of everyone in Marvel, they meet and don't like each other initially. Or do like each other, but don't say,
I think that he likes her, and she's distrustful of him. She at first she doesn't. She'd rather go stay out in the roses, but he invites her. He says, "You're welcome to rest inside, and I've got food." And at first she won't even speak to him, even when she does kind of eventually go inside. Their conversation. I mean, he's this very politically opinionated guy. The first we see of him, he's kind of making a speech, to the townspeople, because of the things that are happening with the division of the country, he's very concerned about what that's going to mean for their community. And he's obviously not afraid to kind of speak up about it and, try and get other people involved. And she watches this interaction out of the corner of her eye, and he obviously kind of catches her attention at that point.
And of course it's interesting that there's the kind of thing of him being a politically active person in that period, because it was a period that started to kind of really kind of oppress Muslims, and they were being moved out of or across this sort of artificial dividing line that went down the country. So it's
right, and he feels that this is his home, this is his livelihood, it's his family legacy. Why should he be pushed out? He wants to defend what he feels is his, and I'm sure that echoes a lot of the sentiments of the people of the time.
And it kind of is a terrible and quite a shameful time in Britain's past, really, that I don't think gets talked about enough. And I can't claim, before we go into this, I've got to say I can't claim that I know enough about it to talk about it necessarily intelligently.
No, but I think that the showrunners did a really good job of presenting that to people who've never, who don't know the story, and I think they did even comment that it's something that really hasn't been done, in a high profile series or film before.
No,
Western film.
I mean, I think that there has been stuff about the kind of Raj in the past, and there certainly have been good, I think, Indian films about it, but again, not seen enough of those to really kind of be able to say a lot about it, unfortunately. But we kind of see their relationship start to kind of grow and things, and it's interesting because the pace of this episode is entirely different from the pace of the rest of the series. Again, not one built around a family gathering this time. They seem to have dispensed with that, which is kind of quite, because I quite liked that thing running through the series.
But this is giving you the family history.
Yeah, the family history, but not one that's full of powers, not one that's full of even action, really. You kind of do just see the encroaching danger is Partition.
And of course, the return of the clandestines.
Yeah, who do kind of show up, and you begin to see that Njima's mission has always been, okay, we're getting home, we're going home, and you're standing in my way. So she's very much kind of in that same position that she's very much in the position that Kamala was in now. Aisha is very much in the position that Kamala's in, which is you're standing in the way of this thing, and it's going to happen with or without you. So give up the bangle, and it's nice to see that thing played out over time. Played out again,
right.
And I kind of liked that sense, and also it's an interesting thing to drop the lead character from the show.
Yeah, I mean, you said it was 20 minutes, but I minutes,
yeah.
I mean, it could have been longer. I felt like that was.
I think 20 minutes was the point where I checked.
Right.
And kind of looked. It's how much have they done without?
Because I wasn't even paying attention. I was so immersed in it. Because I had no idea that it was going to be that long an interlude, with her grandparents, but actually, I felt like that was the best part of the episode. It was like really just this beautiful little love story that you watch play out.
Yeah.
That you become, so invested in in their characters that it's, you know, almost, you know, when we sort of return to the present, I was sort of disappointed. I was like, oh, you know, this was just lovely.
And I kind of, I really like that aspect of it. And I think they kind of played up the stakes really well, because you do really kind of get a sense, although you know how it's going to turn out ultimately.
Right.
You know how
it's going
to turn
out.
Yeah,
you do. Like,
and we see, of course, is it Sana as a young child?
Yeah.
And which is nice. Again, it's that kind of thing of time becoming a circle, and I like that. And we now kind of we start to move forward into the kind of big moment of partition, which is kind of the crucial thing, and everyone trying to get on this train.
And they may not have even left had it not been for the clandestines showing back up.
Yeah, because they were quite willing to stay. And that would have been, I mean, I don't know what that would have done to their relationship or to their lives, or even their chance to stay alive, really, because I don't think Muslims are treated very well in India at the end of, because there was this kind of, I think the idea was that the British did create a kind of artificial conflict that wasn't really there, and they stoked the fires of that conflict in order to kind of divide it, as they say in the episode, I believe, divide and conquer. You know, it was that kind of terrible stuff that the you know, Western nations are quite known for. And we finally get to see this kind of answer to the mystery of the Trail of Stars and stuff like that. And what was fascinating about this episode, because you remember I talked about, hey, wouldn't it be great if it's Kamala that leads her her back to her father? And of course, it is what they do. And I was, apart from the warm glow of being right, which happens so infrequently in my life. I have to kind of bask in the sunlight of that. From no, but I did like it. I did like this idea that she's the one that brings her back.
Right. Which, you know, was a poignant scene. Like, you know, I was actually, you know, when I mean, you know, that Aisha's not coming back. You know, that's the last time you know, Sana ever saw her mother.
Well, yeah, but I was hoping that Aisha would still be alive and would reappear towards the end. But of course, because I remember we talked about that in the earlier episodes. I was like, oh, I think, you know, it'd be interesting when Aisha shows up. And of course, there aren't two Bangles. There is just one. And it only appears like there's two Bangles because at that moment, there are two Bangles at that point in time. And it reminded me a little bit of like the quest for the Infinity Stones, when they were like, oh, hold on, you know, there's two of these actually here if you're here at this point in time. And I did feel, and I liked that idea of, oh, there never was like this kind of thing of this other Bangle was a MacGuffin, and a kind of fake MacGuffin almost, because there was something earlier on in the episodes about there being, oh yeah, you know, find the other Bangle and all this, wasn't there?
I mean, okay, so this is interesting because I didn't really read it that way, but like, I wonder you could be right. You could be right that it's just the one Bangle,
but just appearing from two different points in time,
right?
At one kind of fusion point, which is that point, which I think is the thing that I don't know if that's the whole power that enables her to kind of jump back to the kind of modern period. But I love that touch of her kind of bringing the kid home.
And her grandmother passing on the power to her.
It was it was almost like a 12 Monkeys moment, really, because you know, it was a nice circular kind of you know, passing on the power is definitely the thing that happens there. And I quite like that moment, but like, and I thought it's incredibly well paced first half of the episode.
It was beautiful. I was so impressed by it. Like, you know, I was like totally, you know, I was in tears, you know, when you know, her grandmother dies. Like, it's
I don't
really,
believe moving. You felt the emotion. I don't believe that you went for the emotion.
I was tears, Paul. Hats off to whoever wrote it. I thought it was really, really, just a beautifully sort of constructed, first half of the episode, and then we're back into the, the present and everything that's going on with Kamala now. She's returned to find the veil opening.
Yeah. Now I'm surprised they did this in this episode, and this is where I started to have problems with it. I think
there were a number of things I was surprised that they did in this episode. We'll get to all of that, but yeah.
So yeah, we see the veil opening, and her and I've instantly forgotten the name of the red dagger guy. Kareem, yeah, sorry. Desperately trying to close it. And that makes for a great amount of kind of tension and fun. However, we do still have the presence of the clandestines there. And okay, so here's where the problem. Is there anything you want to talk about in this particular scene? In this sequence?
Okay. What were you going to say?
Well, this became a problem for me because I just felt like all of a sudden it was, oh no, we've got to get this wrapped up. So we're just going to wrap this up now, and we're going to wrap up this whole thing about them going home, just like that. And
I don't think it's over.
You don't? Because I like. Obviously, one of the clandestines tries to go through and is destroyed, ripped apart by the veil. But then we have Najima wants to try and get through, but also Cameron shows up.
No,
he's made it too, doesn't he? Is he not in that scene? I thought he made it too.
No.
When does he?
Okay, so. So what happens in that scene is that Kamala tries to appeal to Najima by saying, don't go through, you'll die. Think about Cameron. And she says, oh no, I left him behind. And she's like, well, you don't have to. And she seems to have this sort of epiphany, and she approaches the veil. Says Cameron, her eyes flash, and she turns to dust. Yes. But I read that as either she passed her power on to Cameron.
Yeah, which I kind of saw, but I felt that in order to do that, she had to, it was her closing the veil, and B, sending the power off, right?
Right.
To find Cameron. I'm sorry. At the time I was watching this, I was in agonising pain from a toothache, and popping loads of painkillers to try and get her back. So if I'm misremembering, I do apologise.
Right. Well, so there's two ways to read that scene. So either it's like her, her power goes to Cameron, and she sort of sacrifices herself and closes the veil. Or she transfers her some of her own energy into him, so that she can have him complete her work in the next episode.
But the thing is, I wouldn't necessarily see the point of that because they killed off some of the clandestines, right?
Some, but not all.
Right. So it's at a certain point, it's just like, well, is there any point in you guys actually going home?
It just feels like a slightly unfinished story otherwise, but, I feel like they do have a lot to wrap up in the next episode. But
see, I felt they kind of did wrap up that storyline in this episode, and that was the trouble I had with it. It's like, well, you've still got a whole nother thing to go, a whole nother sort of 40 minutes, 50 minutes of the show to go next week. So I'm surprised you're kind of doing this here.
Which is why I'm saying I don't think it's over. I think that him getting Namja's essence or whatever, I think, potentially could could have a corrupting influence on him, and maybe he and Kamala will have to face off. Because he obviously has powers by the end.
And of course, he ends up kind of going to see Bruno.
Right.
Which I quite like their little kind of makeup scene. But we'll get to that in a moment. Because one of the interesting things that does happen in this episode is that Kamala's true identity is revealed to her mum.
Right. Now that is something I didn't think was going to happen. And I'm a little, I have reservations about her finding out this early on. I would like to see that stretched out a little more, maybe.
I don't, this early on in the series, or this early on in what we assume is going to be like a couple of seasons.
Kamala's story, because I feel like we even if we don't see another series of Ms. Marvel, we know we're going to see Kamala in the Marvels, and we're going to see her in the future of the MCU. So just, I felt like keeping the secret identity for a little longer would have worked a little better for me.
I actually liked it because it gives kind of closure to that aspect of it, and actually resolves a lot of things for the mum in terms of her relationship with her mother. Right. And I feel that's kind of what the episode was about. But I see what you mean in terms of the
big story. I think I would have liked to see it go on for longer. If this was like the only Ms. Marvel series there was ever going to be, I think, okay, yeah, fine, have her find out now. But
now we're at opposite ends from where we were in the Thor podcast.
Well, no, I really liked the episode, but it was just it's a decision I felt was like a little preemptive.
I quite liked it though, because again, it leans into the thing that I think is always true of the Marvel Universe, which is secret identities are absolutely useless. In the Marvel Universe. And it now, again, we're now reduced back down to there's one person who has a secret identity in the Marvel Universe.
Which, but I like, there's something about a secret identity that I really like.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
There's something about it that's just like, it makes for like a really satisfying aspect of a story.
I think it's one of the things that Marvel have abandoned, to their credit, but DC have kept to their credit. And even DC have started to now kind of shy away from that with, Superman and things like that. So I'm curious about where they go with this next. And also, I think it brings her back into the community. Do you know what I mean? She's not an outsider again. She's inside the community. She's inside her family. And she can choose to talk to the entire family about this. And I think that would be a nice thing if they all know. And they're all kind of, great. This is our daughter. And it gives them something to be, on a family level, it gives them something to be proud of her about.
But just knowing how overprotective they are, it's kind of like, well, are they going to let her go out and do these things?
It's a melding of two identities as well, and I feel that her mum is having a melding of two identities with this woman that she used to be, who ran off to see Bruce Springsteen concerts and ran off to America, and the woman that she is now, which is a mother.
I think you'll find it was Bon Jovi concerts.
Bon Jovi, yes, you're absolutely right. She does say see Bruce Springfield, but she says Bon Jovi, right? But I feel that there's an element of that. But I did feel like, oh God, we're wrapping all this up really quickly, as did you, I think.
Yeah.
But we get to that kind of thing at the end where you have Bruno and Cameron together, and I did love that moment of Cameron's kind of, have I actually been getting your name wrong this whole time?
Right.
Which I actually thought was really quite sweet.
Yeah, because he wasn't doing it on purpose, which it seemed like he was.
And also, we have the reappearance of Damage Control. And I do wonder if Damage Control are going to be the big threat. And in fact, it's like, actually, we wouldn't mind having this power of this portal and this other universe. and stuff like that.
Yeah, it does seem like that's what they're gonna be doing in the final episode. Because we haven't really gotten a whole lot else of damage control beyond them just kind of arresting the clandestines last we saw. And
I mean, I'd like to see more of those two actors as well.
Right.
Who play the damage control agents, because they're good actors, and I like them in everything I see them in. So yeah, I mean, everything kind of to play for this last episode, and it does leave it in this just really interesting place. I'm
I mean, Bruno's apartment explodes because Cameron uses his new powers.
Oh my god, that was I'm really hoping Bruno's okay.
Yeah, I hope so
Bruno's
too.
Bruno's my boy. Like I really need him and Kamala to go out on at least one date, you know.
Yeah, well, she's got all these other hunky dudes showed up with their,
Hey Liz, come on, the hunks can't always win. I just want them to have one awkward teenage date. Bless them. I really do. So I don't know, left it in a very interesting place for the next episode. Really, look, we zoomed through this, Liz. 27 minutes in comparison to the Thor episode. But yeah, it's a weird episode. Because I just find myself enjoying it so much. I don't have much. I think it's because I don't have anything to add or constructive to say in terms of a qualitative thing, because it is so good.
It has been really good. It has been really good. I thought this was probably my favorite episode. Right. Okay. At least for the like the love story between the two grandparents. I thought that was just really lovely. I thought it was really kind of a standout amongst MCU things. That it sort of managed to invest me so much in their story in such a brief amount of time. Yeah. And also kind of teach me something about this important moment in history that I knew little about.
Same here. And I just feel like a friend was asking me today. She was saying like we're talking about Thor. Is it rewatchable? And I was kind of like, well, look, they're all rewatchable once. I don't know how much I could sit through the TV series again, to be honest with you. Not yet, anyway. I do find it quite difficult to sit through TV series over and over again. I don't know why. And I think TV is just at a really interesting kind of, phase at the moment. But I this is certainly the one I've had the most fun and the one I found the most comforting to watch. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can see why that would be. I
think it's just that thing of like, oh, the kids are really sweet, and the community's lovely, and like I think it's been a fascinating watch for that. And I've gone through a fascinating kind of emotional thing with it, whereas normally I'd want things to be a bit meatier or a bit darker. And this isn't something I've really felt the need to want or require from this show.
Yeah. It's got a little bit of like a 80s Spielberg sort of, quality to it in that way, where it's like, there's something just kind of warm about it. And
which, interestingly enough, I found about another show that I know you didn't really warm to, I don't think. And we didn't get to talk about at all, because we just haven't found the right time to do it, which is Lock and Key.
I love it's one of my favorite comic series. I think it's an incredible book, but the series didn't do much for me at all. I only watched the first season, to be fair, but yeah.
Okay. See, I really found it to be quite Spielbergian and quite kind of. So yeah, I'm curious to see where that goes for season 3 of that, which is coming soon. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I've really liked this. Can I just do a quick shout out about the music again? I don't know if you looked it up this week, but the standout song for me was Tajum, which it's all going wrong. I can't
Were you
actually.
planning on playing this?
I wasn't planning on playing it. Sorry, I've destroyed it.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I'm just trying to turn down my phone. Sorry about that. Any copyright watchers out there? It was an accident. I was actually just trying to look up who performed the song.
Well done.
We're not going to do that this week. It's all gone fantastically wrong as always. But yeah, a really good piece of music. I'm loving the music for this show. The song from a week or two ago, For Aisha, I've been playing on repeat.
Oh yeah, that's a great song. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on it. I'm sorry.
Well, I think we've said what we wanted to say. Again, I loved this week's episode. Despite, thinking like, oh, okay, there's, that's a weird choice. But let's see where we go with it. And yeah, I can't wait to see how they wrap it up next week. Lots of things, kind of to bring together.
We've got our big finale next week for this show. I was hoping we could do some extra kind of bonus content for this, but I don't think it's going to come together, unfortunately. Sorry for that, Patreons. I've been really bad on the bonus content this year, and I'm really sorry. It's not being done on purpose. It's just where I'm trying to concentrate on more of these shows and more content for the site. But we will bring some stuff back. And I know Liz and I are kind of talking back and forth about doing The Boys and Umbrella Academy sort of wrap up shows. So maybe we can find something to do around those. Boys, I am 1 week behind on. So I'm in the middle of watching episode 7 now. I'm sure have you finished watching it?
Oh, of course I finished it. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Very much enjoying that. But we'll talk about those. Yeah, you can follow me at the Comic Crush just there, or at Comic Crush Paul for my personal Twitter. Liz, you can follow at Liz C. Jordan, or check out her wonderful website with all the great writing on. It's really terrific stuff and well worth diving into, because she does these great kind of short form comics reviews, and a few film reviews are on there, and that's all terrific and worth looking at. And of course, we'll be back with the final episode of this, and then maybe after that, The Boys and Umbrella Academy, and then after that, we get a bit of a break, Liz, from each other. Dry your eyes.
Oh, jeez. Well,
I know you'll miss me. But we will be back for She-Hulk. That's the plan. And we'll be doing some stuff on that. And let us know, guys, do talk to us in the comments. Let us know what you'd like to see from these shows. What would you like to be the content of the shows? Are we keeping you happy? Are you not happy? What would you like to see on the shows? What information would you like us to cover beyond the episode itself? Because obviously we do make the shows for an audience, for you. We would love you to come on and more people watching and all that, and more people listening on the podcasts. So do kind of give us a shout about what you'd like to see for say She-Hulk, and we'll see if we can make it part of the show. But beyond that, we'd love to hear from you. Any comments you've got on comics or comic book TV and films, drop us a line. Check out some of the other stuff on the Comic Crush channel. We are rapidly approaching, Liz. I think this will be video number. I didn't think we'd get here this quickly, actually, because it's only been like a year of this channel. So this will be video number 94, and Thor will be video number 95, which means we are rapidly coming up on video number 100. We'd like to do something special for that. At least try and get all the co-hosts together which I am kind of in talks with everyone to come on and do, but we just don't know what we're going to do for that episode. What would you like us to do? Let us know, because we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to kind of make a show that you want to see. Drop us a line anyway on Twitter, or email me, paul@thecomiccrush.com. Let me know. Liz, it's been a pleasure as always.
Of course. For you.
Never let it be said that you can't really cope with the niceties and general human byplay, Liz. It's always a bloody thrill. Right. Goodbye.